Welcome in. It's fantastic to have you joining us for today's session.
Yeah, thrilled to be here for this one.
We have a really fascinating deep dive lined up for you today. Our mission is to explore a phenomenon that genuinely baffles so many successful business owners.
Oh, absolutely baffles them.
Right. We are looking at why thriving, seemingly unstoppable businesses suddenly hit a brick wall and just completely stop growing.
It is a notoriously frustrating place for any business owner to be.
I can imagine. And more importantly, we're going to decode a very specific, actionable blueprint for getting unstuck and breaking through that wall.
Because you feel like you are doing everything right, you're working harder than ever, but the top line revenue just flatlines.
It just sits there.
Exactly. It happens far more often than people realize, and the reasons behind it are rarely what the founders actually think they are.
So to guide us through the mechanics of this, we are pulling from an incredibly detailed article and framework created by Mike Durable from MITCO Digital LLC.
It's a fantastic piece of work.
It really is. It's titled Breaking the Accounting Firm Growth Plateau, Your 90-Day Plan.
And we should probably clarify our approach right up front for everyone listening.
Yes, definitely. While this document is written specifically for accounting firms, do not let that deter you if you are in a different field.
Right, because the core lessons here.
The lessons about scaling operations, breaking through invisible market limits, and building proactive growth engines, those are absolute gold for you no matter what kind of business or agency you are looking to understand or build.
The context we are establishing today is really about the natural evolution of a business.
Evolving past the startup phase.
Exactly. We're focusing on that critical, often painful transition phase where a company has to mature away from running purely on passive referrals.
Passive being the key word there.
Yeah, they have to pivot toward a deliberate, proactive digital strategy.
Yeah.
It is the fundamental shift from just hoping the phone will ring to engineering exactly when, how, and why it rings.
Okay, let's unpack this. The source material highlights a very specific trajectory. A firm starts out, the founders do phenomenal work. They build a stellar reputation in their local market, and they rely heavily on word of mouth.
Which works great at first.
It does. They ride that referral wave all the way up to the $1.5 million or maybe even the $2 million revenue mark.
And then boom.
Boom. The growth curve just flatlines. Complete silence. They hit what the text calls the referral ceiling.
The referral ceiling. It is this hard, invisible limit where the word-of-mouth pipeline naturally dries up or just completely loses its predictability.
And distinguishing between a temporary dip in the market and this systemic referral ceiling is vital, right?
Well, it's crucial. A lot of business owners lie to themselves here.
They think it's just a phase.
Yeah, they think they're just having a slow quarter, or maybe it is a seasonal slump.
But the text outlines 3 telltale warning signs that a firm is genuinely stalled on a plateau rather than just hitting a speed bump.
Right. First, you have a stagnant client list.
Meaning your net new client count is completely flat.
Exactly. For every brand new client you work incredibly hard to onboard, you end up losing an existing one to natural attrition or competition.
You are running at full speed on a treadmill just to keep your revenue in the exact same place.
And running a business just to break even on your client count sounds completely exhausting.
It is a recipe for founder burnout.
Absolutely.
So what is the second sign they should be looking for?
The second sign is losing top talent to modern forward-thinking firms.
That makes sense.
The reality of today's job market is that the best professionals want to work for visible, growing brands.
They want to see a clear path for career advancement and firm growth.
Right. If your firm looks stagnant, or if your digital presence looks like it belongs in the early 2000s, that top-tier talent will look elsewhere.
They do not want to tie their careers to a sinking ship.
Or even a stationary one.
Yeah.
And the third sign.
The third sign is online invisibility.
Online invisibility. This happens when the next generation of business owners goes online and searches for something like CPA for my tech startup, and your firm is basically a ghost.
Because they are not asking their buddies at the golf course for recommendations, they are asking Google.
Exactly. That generational shift in how people find professional services is a massive blind spot for established businesses.
If you have been relying on the Country Club network for 20 years, you might not even realize that the 30-year-old founder with a highly profitable startup is never going to step foot in that club.
No, they're doing all their vetting on their phone while waiting for a coffee.
What's fascinating here is that hitting this plateau is almost never a reflection of the firm's actual expertise.
That is such an important point. You could be the absolute best at what you do in your entire state.
But the plateau is simply a symptom.
It is a sign that your firm has outgrown its original client acquisition model.
The hustle and the network that got you to your first couple of million in revenue are almost never the same systems that will get you to 5 million and beyond.
You literally outgrow the container you built.
So the container itself becomes the restriction.
Exactly.
That is a great way to visualize it. So to figure out where the structural flaws are, the text guides us into an internal diagnostic of the firm, categorizing the bottlenecks into 4 key areas.
Marketing, sales, services, and operations.
Let's look at marketing and sales first. The source brings up this leaky bucket analogy, which is universally applicable.
The leaky bucket is everywhere.
Imagine you have a website that was designed back in 2015.
Oh, we've all seen those.
It is not mobile friendly.
Mhm.
The text is tiny on a smartphone, and it acts like a digital brochure.
It just talks about the firm's history rather than focusing on the client's actual problems.
Add to that zero visibility on Google for high-intent searches.
And then the final hole in the bucket, a lack of a customer relationship management system, or CRM.
That CRM gap is where so much hidden revenue bleeds out.
Without a dedicated system to track leads, any good prospects you do happen to get just fall through the cracks.
Someone fills out a contact form on a Friday night. It lands in a generic info email inbox.
And by Monday morning, it is buried under 50 internal emails.
No one follows up for 3 days, and by then the prospect has already hired your competitor.
That leaky bucket is a massive bottleneck. But then we have to look at the services bottleneck, which is equally restrictive, but often harder for founders to admit to.
Because it requires changing what they actually sell on a daily basis.
Precisely. The danger here lies in relying entirely on commodity compliance work.
In the accounting world, we are talking about basic tax returns and standard bookkeeping.
There are only so many hours in a day to do this work.
Because it is often priced like a commodity, meaning clients are just shopping around for the lowest hourly rate, it leads to incredibly high-pressure deadlines and razor-thin profit margins.
The firm ends up having to sign more and more of these low-margin clients just to see a tiny bump in top-line revenue.
It is the ultimate volume trap.
It really is.
So if volume and hourly billing are the traps, what is the alternative? How does a firm fundamentally fix that services bottleneck without just working longer hours?
The aha solution presented in the text is shifting focus to high-value advisory services.
High-value advisory services.
Think about outsourced CFO services, real business consulting, or strategic tax planning that actually saves a client money.
The beauty of these services is that they are priced based on the value they create for the client rather than the sheer number of hours spent executing them.
If you save a business owner $50,000 through strategic planning, they do not care if it took you 2 hours or 20 hours.
They are paying for the outcome.
Exactly. It completely changes the profitability dynamic of the firm.
Moving from hourly billing to value-based pricing, that makes a lot of sense, but it also sounds like it requires a highly skilled team to execute.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, we have to address the elephant in the room regarding that team, which is operations and the impending talent shortage.
This part of the source was wild.
The source notes a staggering projection. By 2026, the U.S. accounting sector will face its steepest labor shortage ever.
This is a quiet killer of growth.
You can fix your marketing, you can plug the leaky bucket, and you can shift to high-value services. But a firm simply cannot grow if it doesn't have the internal staff to actually handle the incoming work.
It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy where partners actively shy away from pursuing new business because they know their current team is already stretched to the breaking point.
That is a brutal position to be in.
You have a leaky marketing bucket, low-margin services dragging you down, and a looming crisis where you can't even hire the people you need.
If you are listening to this and mapping it onto your own business, it might sound a bit overwhelming.
But thankfully, the text doesn't just outline the impending doom. It provides a highly actionable core, the 90-day playbook for reigniting growth.
Yes, the playbook.
And what I find most compelling about this playbook is that it explicitly warns against trying to do everything at once.
Attempting a massive overhaul of all your systems simultaneously is just a fast track to burnout and wasted capital.
Precision and sequence are the entire ballgame here. You have to fix the foundation before you build the house.
Exactly.
Here's where it gets really interesting. The playbook breaks things down into 3 very specific sequenced 30-day sprints. Let's walk through that first month.
The text calls month one the foundational fixes.
The foundational
The
fixes.
primary goal here is simply stopping the bleeding.
You are not launching massive ad campaigns, yet you are just fixing the infrastructure.
First, you conduct a technical SEO audit.
This means finding and fixing slow page speeds, broken links, and missing title tags that are quietly sabotaging your visibility on search engines.
Second, you focus on Google Business Profile Optimization.
For local businesses, this is arguably your single most important digital asset.
You have to claim the profile, add your specific services, upload high-quality photos, actively solicit reviews, and ensure your name, address, and phone number is perfectly consistent everywhere online.
That consistency is what signals to search engines that you are a legitimate, active business.
Finally, month one requires setting up that basic CRM we talked about earlier.
And the text notes, you can start with a tool designed for professional services for as little as $35 a month.
Wait, $35 a month?
That sounds almost too cheap to be effective.
Is a basic entry-level tool really enough to handle a growing firm's pipeline and stop the bleeding?
It absolutely is, because the goal in month one isn't to build a complex enterprise-level sales funnel with artificial intelligence.
The goal is simply to stop using a generic email inbox as a filing cabinet.
A $35 CRM will track every single inquiry, assign it to a specific person, and automate a follow-up reminder so no prospect is ever forgotten again.
It is about establishing the habit of pipeline management.
Once the bleeding is stopped and the foundation is stable, you move into month two, which is building your lead generation engine.
Building your lead generation engine.
The focus here shifts to proactive lead generation, but again, without boiling the ocean.
The playbook advises creating just one single high-value content asset, which they call a lead magnet.
And to be clear for the listener, this shouldn't be a generic newsletter sign-up or a boring blog post about the history of accounting.
No, it needs to solve a major specific pain point for your ideal client.
The text gives examples like an S-Corp election checklist for consultants or a comprehensive tax planning guide for real estate investors.
Now, if you are not an accountant, abstract that for a second. Think of this as giving your prospect a highly specific, actionable tool that solves a massive, expensive headache for them.
You are giving them a taste of your expertise for free.
Once you have that single high-value asset, you launch a small, highly targeted Google Ads campaign to send searchers directly to it.
The goal is not to get millions of random clicks. It is to capture a handful of highly qualified leads who are actively searching for the exact solutions you provide.
You are trading your expert knowledge for their contact information and their trust.
Which brings us seamlessly into month three, scaling and nurturing.
You have stopped the leaks. You have a valuable lead magnet, and you are driving targeted traffic to it. Now you set up email nurture automation.
When someone downloads your guide, an automated email sequence takes over.
It doesn't just spam them with sales pitches.
No, it welcomes them, offers a few more helpful insights related to the guide they just downloaded, and gently guides them toward booking a consultation over the course of a few weeks.
It builds trust in the background without any manual effort from your busy team.
It is essentially cloning your best salesperson and having them work 24/7.
The other major focus for month three is repurposing that core content.
You don't just write a massive guide and let it sit there, you slice it up.
That one guide becomes 4 blog posts, a dozen social media updates, and a series of LinkedIn checklists.
You maximize the value of that initial heavy lifting to start building a long-term organic search footprint.
If you are listening right now and feeling overwhelmed by your own marketing efforts, notice how this 90-day plan isn't asking you to launch a massive new media empire or go viral on social media.
It is just asking you to systematically fix your foundation, create one good piece of content, and automate the follow-up.
It is entirely manageable if you respect the sequence.
Now, looking at the overarching strategy required to capture those qualified leads, the text dives into the core marketing pillars.
It talks heavily about turning that outdated digital brochure website into a conversion machine.
The primary way you achieve that is through a radical shift in messaging.
The site needs to stop talking about our firm, our history, our qualifications.
And start talking about your challenges, your industry, your growth.
It needs clear calls to action on every single page so the visitor never has to guess how to contact you or what the next step is.
And giving them deep dive expert content like a guide on R&D tax credits for tech startups. It is about making the client the hero of the story, not the business.
And this leads right into the most critical part of the entire strategy, especially for the partners who are signing the checks, the metrics.
Measuring return on investment is what keeps business owners awake at night when they are spending money on marketing.
The source strongly advocates for a complete rejection of vanity metrics.
Vanity metrics are dangerous because they feel so good.
Seeing raw website traffic spike or getting a bunch of likes on a post might look fantastic on a monthly report.
But if those visitors are not qualified prospects who actually need your services, it is just noise.
You cannot deposit page views in the bank.
So if we are ditching vanity metrics, what should a business actually be measuring?
The text defines three crucial key performance indicators that dictate whether your engine is actually working.
The first is MQLs, which stands for Marketing Qualified Leads.
These are people who actually fit your ideal client profile. They are in the right industry, they are the right size, and they have a problem you are uniquely equipped to solve.
100 random emails is useless. 5 MQLs is a goldmine.
The second KPI is CPL, or cost per lead. You simply take your total marketing spend for the month and divide it by your total number of leads.
This tells you exactly what it costs to get a potential client to raise their hand and show interest.
And the third, which is the ultimate metric of truth, is CAC, client acquisition cost.
This is your total marketing and sales costs divided by the number of actual paying new clients you won from those efforts.
So what does this all mean in practice? Let's weave these definitions into a real-world scenario so you can see the power of this math.
Let's talk about your CAC. Say you spend $3,000 on targeted ads and content creation for the month.
Out of that, you get a handful of leads, and you ultimately close one new client.
Your client acquisition cost is $3,000.
Initially spending $3,000 to get one client might sound painful.
But if that client is signing on for high-value advisory services and pays you $15,000 annually, your entire perspective shifts.
Marketing stops being this mysterious, frustrating black hole of expense.
It suddenly becomes a predictable, highly profitable growth investment.
According to the source, by executing this specific digital strategy, a healthy firm should be aiming to consistently yield 3 to 7 highly qualified inbound leads every single month.
And hitting that goal of predictable inbound leads requires navigating around some very common traps.
The source addresses these in a really insightful, frequently asked questions section.
A lot of businesses try to skip the foundational steps and jump straight to the shiny objects.
The traps are arguably the most valuable part of the whole document.
The text specifically warns against the trap of the $15,000 to $25,000 website redesign.
A firm hits that growth plateau, the partners panic, and they think, we need to look more professional to grow. Let's buy a beautiful, expensive new website.
But the playbook issues a stark warning. A gorgeous new site with zero traffic driven to it is just a very lonely, very expensive digital business card.
The strategy insists that you must prioritize foundational search visibility and your Google business profile first.
You have to drive traffic and see what people actually engage with, and then eventually build a new site based on that real-world data.
It is a classic case of putting the cart before the horse.
Another major objection they address, and we hear this constantly, is the classic defense. But we have always gotten all our business from referrals. Why should we bother with digital marketing now?
The response here is critical for the long-term survival of the business. Digital marketing is not meant to replace your referral network.
It is meant to build a parallel, predictable pipeline.
As we touched on earlier, younger business owners simply do not operate the same way older generations did.
They do not wait for the monthly networking mixer to ask for a recommendation. They turn straight to search engines.
If you do not have a robust digital pipeline, you are entirely missing out on capturing the next generation of high-growth clients.
You are effectively leaving the future legacy of your business entirely up to chance and the whims of your current clients' networks.
This raises an important question that the text also tackles, which is the sheer time commitment required to do this right.
Managing partners listen to a 90-day plan involving SEO audits, lead magnets, and automated email sequences, and they immediately think I am already drowning in client work and managing my staff.
I cannot possibly take on a second job as a digital marketing director.
The text emphasizes that to be successful, this blueprint should ideally be built around a done-for-you service model, often partnering with an outside agency.
The firm's partners are only brought in for high-level strategic approval.
They aren't in the trenches doing keyword research or writing the actual blog posts.
Their time is protected so they can focus on what they do best, reviewing the strategy and closing the highly qualified leads that the system generates.
Which brings us full circle to the core philosophy of this entire framework.
If we summarize the overarching theme here for you, it is this breaking through a growth plateau is almost never about just working harder, billing more hours, or pushing your team to the brink.
It is entirely about evolving your business systems to match the scale you want to achieve.
It is about moving away from passive hope, hoping the phone rings, hoping a good client refers you to another good client, and transitioning toward engineered predictable growth through a structured, data-driven digital presence.
It is a profound shift in mindset from being an operator to being an architect of your business.
And I want to leave you with one final thought, something to really mull over, which builds on a tiny but vital detail right at the very end of the source document.
At the bottom of the article, there's an offer for an additional free guide titled The Accountant's Guide to Rank in AI Search.
Think about the progression we have just spent this session discussing.
If businesses today are already facing the painful reality of having to shift from relying on human referrals to relying on traditional Google searches just to survive,
What happens to those same businesses when the traditional search engine is ultimately replaced by conversational AI platforms?
if your foundational digital presence isn't rock solid today, how will your firm's expertise ever be discovered, let alone actively recommended by the AI assistants of tomorrow?
That is a wild, slightly intimidating thing to consider, but highlights exactly why building this foundation now is non-negotiable.
And that is a perfect place to wrap up our session today. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you walk away with a fresh perspective on how to audit your own systems and break through whatever plateau you might be facing.
Until next time.